Now live and recording. Good afternoon, Maya.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
And you're most welcome. And it's not a bad day here in Wiltshire. How are things with you at the moment?
The sun is shining and we're ready to go.
Good. Okay. Right. My first question is, when did you become interested in market research? Personally.
That's interesting because my career path, like a lot of people in market research, wasn't typical, particularly people who end up working in fieldwork and recruitment. My academic background was in psychology and I worked in community development for a long time. But then I ended up with friends in the industry who needed a service developing, and I was ready to do something quite different and wanted the business I could run from home. So that was when Saros came about. About 16 years ago now.
Right. So Saros Research is the company that you founded to actually organise your research, and that's where it all comes from.
We recruit participants for qualitative market researchers to use in their projects, and also for user testers. So anybody in the UK who wants to conduct research with the public needs that intermediary to go out and find people who match whatever profile they want to test or research. We're sort of a dating agency.
Right.
For the research industry, except it's strictly research, listen to that, but it's all about matching the right personality types and profiles.
Right. And what sort of companies would want this research?
Well, we work a lot for research agencies as well as directly for corporations and developers, ranging in size from tiny startups up to big global brand names. Anybody who's developing something new, whether that's a new product or packaging or new advertising communications, at some point, however hard they work on it internally, they've got to make sure it's going to play with their target audience, whether that's their loyal customers or prospective customers or their competitors' customers or whomever they want to test it with. So anybody conducting ethical research within the UK, we will work for. We don't do medical research. We don't recruit people to test drugs or anything. But apart from that, we recruit any legitimate research activity.
Okay, I understand that. Now, how does that research get carried out? Well, one question before that: what is qualitative research?
Qualitative research is the interesting and much less well-known cousin of quantitative research. So quantitative research is about numbers, and that's why it has a much bigger profile. That's when you do a survey to find out how many people like brand X versus brand Y, for example. Qualitative research takes place in much smaller numbers, but it might be looking at why people are starting to drift from brand X to brand Y, or what is it about brand X's latest advertising communications that's working particularly well with this particular generation of users, and so on. It's really about the why and the more strategic questions that brands need to answer. Okay.
And how important is the Market Research Society, the MRS?
Well, the Market Research Society regulates research within the UK, and they're very important to us because of their code of conduct. We're company partners of the Market Research Society, so we're very keen to uphold the code of conduct which makes sure the members of the public, the people we're working with, are treated ethically and responsibly within research. Now, the code covers a lot of other things, including whether research itself is sound and good and ethical and evidence-based, but the bit that we're most concerned about is whether the people we recruit have a positive, fair, hopefully enjoyable experience taking part, that they're well paid for their time and contributions, that nothing negative happens, nothing detrimental. It doesn't with the people that we're lucky enough to work with, some wonderful researchers. So we're all about promoting taking part in research is a really good thing to do.
Brilliant. Paid market research. Who can actually take part in it?
Well, we are database driven. We recruit continually to our database of members, and any UK resident aged 16 or over is welcome to register with us. In terms of who we then manage to screen into projects, that's on a project by project basis, and to an extent we have no idea what we're going to get asked to recruit tomorrow. That's part of the fun of working agency side.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say that if you're in London, you've got a much stronger chance of being recruited, or urban centres like Birmingham, Manchester. A lot of our clients are based around the big cities. That said, we are doing increasing numbers of projects now which are online qualitative research, where people would join an online community for a fixed period of time. It's not like taking part in a survey online. It's a much more conversational, transactional kind of interaction, usually over a week or two. And of course, you can take part in that from anywhere.
That's true. So you're finding now that the internet is building, as it were, a new group of people who can join in.
Definitely, it's creating a lot more opportunities for people who live nowhere near a traditional research viewing facility, or they might be disabled, they might be very time poor. There are lots of reasons why they couldn't take part. So we love to see the amount of tools that are now emerging to do really qualitative work. I mean, a lot of traditional old school qualies still don't like it. They say you don't get the nuances and the body language and interaction that you get from sitting down face to face with somebody. And I can see that point, but in terms of the widening access and increasing the range of different responses you can get, I think the tools are getting better and better now. In the same way that we're talking now, we're not just listening to each other, we're responding to each other's facial expressions and body language and so on. Those tools exist for qualitative research. I'd love to see some interviews done on Blab at some point. So,
I mean that's a possibility. That's would be a great use of Blab because you can speak to people and you can see their reactions, and it's sort of 3D as opposed to the 2D of just writing and sending people emails. Yeah. So, how do people actually register?
Sorry, carry on.
Sorry,
yeah.
carry on.
Need to get along to sarosresearch.com and follow a couple of clicks from the homepage is the link to join here, and you'll see our registration form. It only takes a couple of minutes to fill in. Most of the questions are basic contact information. Because every project is different, we then have to send you a questionnaire, a screening questionnaire for each job that comes up. But to register with us, it's only fairly straightforward information we ask. Some of it does actually look quite personal, the information we ask on registration, because market researchers always want to recruit people of particular age spans or people in particular life stages or categories of occupation. So to register with us, we do ask you to share a little bit about yourself, who you are and where you are and so on, but it's completely safe to do so. We never use that information for anything other than contacting you about genuine paid research projects, and that information is just used to match you with projects you have a higher degree of success rate in getting accepted for.
Yeah, so there's full security on the data with the Data Protection Act and everything.
And we don't share that information with anybody else either. It's all stored very securely and only used to contact you in relation to specific projects.
Okay, right. So I register. What happens next? I put my application in, and what happens?
Great. Well, what will happen is within a day or so, you will get a welcome email from us just explaining a little bit more about what to expect. It's not an automated process at the moment. Everything is manually checked because we want to make sure we've got full and complete applications that aren't duplicated and so on. But then we'll send you an email and just explain that your data's been securely registered. And then hopefully, let's say you're a London professional with lots of time on your hands, and with anything like you will get an invitation from us within the next couple of weeks to a project that fits your age and occupation and your lifestyle. And it will invite you to apply for it. And we'll send you another application form then. This is all to be completed online. Yeah. Just click through on an email. And that will probably ask you about how you use a particular product or category of products. It might ask you about certain attitudes and things like that. So you'll fill that in, and then our interviewers will go through all of those answers and then begin the tricky job of matching that up against what the client actually wants and calling the people who are the best fit and booking them in to attend those sessions. And that might be an individual interview where you'll go along to a research facility. It might be a user experience interview, for example, where you'll sit down with a development researcher and look at a web portal they're developing, for example. Okay. Or it might be a focus group discussion where you'll sit with a group of people and there might be a one-way mirror behind you with a bunch of clients at the back, and you'll sit and have a chat. But whenever you arrive, you'll be welcomed by a researcher who always explains exactly what to expect, what the terms of engagement are. You sit and have a chat for an hour or two, and they ask you questions, you respond. There's no right or wrong answers. At the end of it, they give you an envelope full of money, which is quite nice. Typically, sort of £40, £50 for taking part in a consumer focus group or a depth interview. But it can be a lot more if we recruit you for something because of what you do for a living. Professional ones are much more highly paid.
When you actually go for an interview, do you have full information about the company?
It very much depends, because sometimes the company sponsoring the research needs to remain hidden at the recruitment stage and possibly at during the actual start. It could be that that's part of a reveal. For example, if brand X is the sponsor, but they want to know your reactions to brands X, Y, and Z, they don't want you thinking about the guys from brand X sat behind the mirror judging you. So they want to know your completely neutral reaction. And that's why people employ research agencies and research interviewers to conduct the session itself, because it's that neutrality, which means that the research itself is robust. You don't know who you're trying to please or impress. You can be completely honest.
When you're selecting people to go for it, are you aware of any biases they might have?
Well, we use the screening questionnaire to try and make sure that we're recruiting people who match who the client needs to speak to. Now, qualitative research is never intended to be demographically representative. It's not intended to stratify and represent a population in any way. It's intended to answer very specific questions. So, for example, we might be looking at, for a financial portal, we might be looking at people who are anxious about banking online, who've never used a certain portal, but definitely have a certain phone operating system. So it'd be very, very precise, specific things that we can screen on. And when we're screening people, we have to ask open questions. Obviously, we won't say, do you bank with X? We'll say, which of the following places do you hold your current account? That's why people might have to apply for a lot of events before they actually get selected, because we have to ask those open questions, and rather than telling people what the correct answer is. But that enables us to actually supply a robust service to our clients. So when people turn up, they're all meeting the correct criteria, and they really are product loyalists, or they really are lapsed users, or they really are whatever they're supposed to be.
Right. Okay. Understood. So you signed up, and you get told that research is underway and your help is needed, and you fill in the questionnaire. Is there a first come first served on this, or does it matter how quick you reply?
Speed is important, because we usually have pretty short deadlines in operation. The time from you getting an invitation will probably be about a project taking place in the next 5 to 10 days. So our interviewer is having to work quite quickly, and they'll wait till there's probably a batch of responses to look at, but then certainly the people in the first batch are going to be the ones who get the first call.
Right.
And they'll be calling the first person who matches, so it won't necessarily be the first person who fills it in. But as soon as they fit, they'll ring them up, take them through the questions again, make sure nothing's changed, nothing was clicked, and then within about, they'll book them in. So that's one down, 8 to go, or whatever.
Understood. How many people do you have registered at the moment, just roughly?
We've got about 300,000 people registered with us currently. And because we can only use any one person very occasionally, we're constantly looking for new people to enroll with us. So it's a good time of year, because people are interested in a new year, new start, do something different, hopefully earn a bit of cash. Everybody needs to do that in January. So we've got a lot of people registered with us at the moment.
Okay. Now, I've heard about something called the 6-month rule. Can you explain that?
The 6-month rule. Well, the interesting thing is, when you take part in a qualitative research exercise, it does change the way you look at things. It really does make you think. A lot of the techniques that are used are quite probing. It's not psychoanalysis or anything, but it is about getting at what you might not consciously think about how you make decisions as a consumer. And therefore, those techniques that are used do stay with you, and they do change your behaviour a bit. We've had feedback from people saying, God, I spoke about buying shampoo for 2 hours. I'll never buy shampoo in the same way again. And whilst they really found that personally interesting, it also means that will change what kind of research participant they would be. So we are very careful to make sure we don't invite the same people to take part in research too often, and never for the same kind of research. So if you had spent 2 hours dwelling on shampoo and how you choose it, we would want to give you a good old rest and make sure that your thought processes and the way you behave as a consumer has just returned to whatever normal is typical for a consumer. And we'd never invite you back to talk about shampoo. But in 6 months, we put you back in the hat, and who knows, maybe next year we'll invite you to talk about your mobile phone or your car or holiday or something.
Right. So you're going to have a maximum of 2 interviews per year, give you a chance to get refreshed.
Yes, there's certainly no guarantees of 2 a year, but it does mean that after we've booked you into something and you've taken part, we will suppress you for 6 months.
Right. And so that being the case, you always got an open door on people joining.
Absolutely, yes. We're completely upfront about that. We don't promote joining Saros as a way to make a second income or get rich quick. The pay when you do take part is very good in terms of sort of the hours of your time committed, and hopefully that's not the only benefit you get from it as well. The feedback we get is people really find it fascinating and interesting and learn about themselves and the products they use. But it is something one person can only do very occasionally, I'm afraid. So it's about finding that right match. Yeah. So once you get in there, you're in the right room for the right reasons, and you really enjoy it.
Right. And does it give participants a chance to influence marketing?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, people are paying an awful lot to do this research. They really want to know what people think, and the insights that clients get from research can have a huge influence. It can shape the way a product develops. It can cause whole pivots in the way a company goes forward. Or it might just be the choice between one abstract line and another. Who knows? And we have had people say to us, "Oh, I finally saw the ad a month later, and they didn't go with my suggestion. My idea was so brilliant." Well, the whole group agreed, but of course that could be one focus group of 12. Yeah. And then the client changed it anyway for their own reasons or whatever. But it definitely, people are investing in this research because they want to be influenced. They want that input from outside of their in-house team. So it is a chance to have genuine, get the ear of the brands that you love or the brands you hate.
And make a difference.
Hopefully, yes. And when it comes to making a difference, we do work on behalf of a number of charities as well. We help charities improve their advertising communications and the way their web portals are run and so on. We work for public sector clients, health promotion. Whilst we don't recruit people to test medical products, we've done a lot of work around things like patient readability, getting people to come in and look at the information leaflets that are supplied with pharmaceuticals and medical equipment, things to make sure that they're completely accessible to all different kinds of users. It might be in real trouble if they misunderstood the instructions. So, yeah, it can make a difference in a positive way as well as just helping people sell more stuff, which a lot of it is obviously about.
Yeah, I can understand that. But it does sound very, very interesting. Now, that's the personal interview situation where people go along to a set place, a set time to be interviewed. And as you say, you actually tell them in advance some of what they're going to be talking about, and you help them on the day itself. But the other area that we spoke about briefly was online market research.
Yes.
Now, how does that go?
Well, online quantitative research has, of course, been around for ages in the form of the online survey, and anybody can knock one of those up in Google Forms now. But qualitative tools, where you're really doing that kind of probing and two-way conversation and digging into the less overt and immediate responses, tools for that are still in quite an emergent phase. There's a lot of them about. Some of them are video like this, so you'll get tuning into the body language and other things. There are lots of tools that are more conversation-based and might involve quite large numbers, quite forum-type software where you've got threaded conversations and research probe and say, well, that's interesting, tell me a bit more about that or what you meant by that and so on. And of course, the great thing about those kind of projects is you can take part in them from anywhere, often on a range of different devices. And mobile tools are becoming more and more important. There are also lots of great mobile platforms emerging for doing research literally out and about. So ethnographic research where people will be doing video diaries. We did a great project a year or so ago with disabled users of London Underground, for example, doing video journeys. This is me trying to get on the train, and these are the kind of obstacles I'm experiencing. And here they are, we're actually physically demonstrating those. So those kind of projects are really helpful. They're great to see products in use as well. And we've done sort of food diaries and things where people are at home using products. And sometimes we've sent test products out and people are able to complete that online. This is me making dinner with the test product, and these are the kids' faces when they're eating it. Those tools are terrific. I think live streaming and video is going to become so much more important this year, as this platform itself is demonstrating.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is a platform which came out. Do you remember Bebo? Bebo.
Yeah, never really got involved in that one.
Right. Okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. But Bebo was sold to AOL for £850 million, and then after a couple of years, it was bought back for £1 million. This is Bebo. This is what Bebo evolved into, and it's UK backed, which is absolutely brilliant. Right. Okay. So basically, let's go back to why people should get involved.
Why should you get involved? Well, taking part in research is really interesting and fun. You know, we get feedback from people who take part every day. You can see that feedback on our YouTube Vimeo channels and on our Facebook page. People find it fascinating as a process. They get well looked after and welcomed. You get listened to. For some people, that can be an unusual experience. You get consulted. Quite often you get wined and dined, and you get refreshments, certainly, when you turn up, and you get money. You get cash money, so that's obviously very welcome. So there's lots of good reasons why I'd love to see everybody in the UK go along and sign up at sarosresearch.com right now.
I go with that, yes. I mean, I've got to be honest here. I signed up earlier today. And as Maya said, the process is simple and straightforward. You just go to the web page, the link that I posted earlier, and you say who you are and where you are. And as you said, age as well comes into it. And you've got to, one question I'll come back to in a moment, which I didn't quite get the reason for. But it is very straightforward. It takes a couple of minutes. And once you've done that, as Maya said, you don't get an automated response. It's actually somebody reads. Somebody actually reads it, don't they? And once they've read it, if you fit the bill, which is you then get an email welcoming you and telling you what the next steps are. So signing up takes a couple of minutes. That's all. It doesn't cost you anything. But the potential is that you can actually get involved in helping companies in the UK. Are we talking just UK, by the way?
Just UK presently.
Yep.
It's 2 more years in USA, but there's still a lot of work to do in the UK. So I don't think we're done there yet.
Yeah. You're helping companies in the UK improve their products and improve the reception of their products. So it is a very worthwhile situation. Now, if anybody has questions, as I say, you can type /Q in the bottom right-hand corner in text. If anyone would like to come on camera, then just press the call-in button, which is below Maya and myself on the screen, and you can ask Maya a question live on air. Now, what does come across is that you really enjoy this. You really feel that it's a great place to be, a great service.
Absolutely. Well, it's a fascinating industry to work in, and a lot of my role within the business now is about trying to communicate that to people, because it still feels a little bit like qualitative is the research industry's best kept secret, and that's terrible. You know, everybody knows about surveys. Everybody, whether you see them popping up in your inbox or you're crossing the street from somebody with a clipboard, don't, because they really do need the money. Go and talk to them if they're a genuine researcher.
Right.
But no, qualitative research is fascinating. Though it's about what makes people tick. It's about how decisions are driven. It's really, really interesting what people learn about themselves and about the brand. So yes, I do love it, and I want to bring that message to as many people as possible.
Yeah. How do you actually push the message out? How do you actually let's go to your marketing side for a moment. How do you promote?
We promote by a range of different ways. It's interesting because the message is quite subtle for online. You know, in a crowded world of get rich quick and cash for this and earn that, we're saying, well, we're not going to make you rich, and you can just take one very occasionally, and when you do, it's really great. So that's why it's great for me to get involved in something like this, because what I really need is the chance to explain a little bit more depth. So a lot of our content creation is more sort of longer article forms, interviews. We go along to public events, because the one thing we can't do is just chase people who are interested in making money. Our clients need a whole range of different people, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different parts of the country. So we speak at events, we do live events in the street, we write, we've done radio advertising, we try and bring a whole range of different activities to bear to try and generate a database. We don't claim it's statistically representative of the UK, but we know it's representative of the kind of people our clients need to talk to. So we are kind of driven by demand. If we get a new client in a new city, we're going to need lots of people who are in this particular area, or we've got a huge job coming up for X, then we know that we're going to go chasing after those people. At the moment, we're recruiting a lot of gamers. We've got a huge project coming up for a major gaming manufacturer, equipment supplier, who will be testing virtual reality headsets in London next month. We're going to be recruiting hundreds of people to come along and stick on a headset, and there'll be videos moving around and doing things. I'm not quite sure what they do, but it's a very short test, but they need loads and loads of people. So at the moment, we're hitting up the gaming forums and things like that to try and reach people. Fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating stuff, because you don't, as you say, you don't know what's going to come up, and something like that appeals to a very young gaming audience, doesn't it? Yes, so you've got all ages involved in across the range of research that you do.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot of people for that one. And then next week, I mean, just to give you a flavour at the moment, we had a team meeting earlier. We're recruiting people who buy chicken products from supermarkets. We're recruiting mobile app testers. We're recruiting menopausal women to come and talk about supplements and things. We're recruiting people who use international rail travel. We've got the gamers. We're recruiting people who use a specific kind of hairbrush. People who buy fashion accessories, and drivers of a particular model of car, as well as some business advertisers. So it's a real mishmash. And our project manager.
Oh, right. That answers my question, because when I did the form earlier today, it did ask me what make of car I had, and I thought, well, but now I know. I know a little bit more.
Depending on what car you might get a very urgent call. We do work for a number of, it tends to be through agencies, but obviously car design and car branding is a huge industry. It's one of those industries where the manufacturers and marketers have to make sure that their branding message actually connects with existing customers as well.
Yes.
And that they're kind of staying in line with what you thought when you bought that car in terms of your self-image and your motivations, that all of that is congruent throughout the life of the product. So it's a fascinating area. I love doing car research.
What an amazing range of topics. We've gone from VR headsets through to cars and a whole range of things in between. I can see that you are on a mission to and it's coming across very well. And hopefully people who watch this will click the link that we've posted and get more information and get registered. If anybody has a question, then please do step in and /Q, bottom right-hand corner, and we'll answer your question. If you want to come live on air and ask a question, then please do so. Just press the call in button. It is really fascinating. I've got to be honest now. I'm going to be totally honest now. I thought when you stepped up to be interviewed on Blab, I thought, I know nothing about market research. Nothing. I've got a blank piece of paper. I thought, what am I going to do? But it's because you and I know each other from the Prospect Networking Group. It's been a pleasure chatting. I've learned a great deal during the course of the last half hour, and I wish you every success with it. And if we've got more questions, it would be great. Otherwise, in a moment, I'll turn off the recording, and then we'll just carry on.
A couple of comments coming through. CJ, great to have you signed up with us. That's an interesting question about if you work in the media. Very often we are asked to specifically exclude people in recruitment who might have a non-typical understanding of branding and marketing communications. We will always probe into what you do in the media. I mean, it might be slightly different in the States. Obviously, there are different regulatory bodies, but if somebody told us they worked in the media, we'd ask a lot of probing questions just to make sure that they wouldn't be thinking about what we're looking at completely differently from the other people in the room. Because if you are to do with anything to do with advertising buying or marketing communications or copywriting or graphics or so on. It depends on the project. It really varies a lot. There'd be no reason why you couldn't take part in testing some medical equipment or something if you worked in advertising copy, but we wouldn't put you in an advertising group because you know too much.
Understood. Thank you for the question, Anna. If you have any more questions, then please pose them. This is the best time to do it because we have Maya live on air and more than willing to answer any questions that arise.
Another time, follow along. Maybe I'll be back on Blab sometime. This has been my first experience of it, and it's been really interesting. And technology has held up, touch wood. I completely accept the point that you buy products like everyone else. I think particularly in a group situation, what you tend to end up with is a kind of group think going on where if one person in the room appears to be more knowledgeable than other people about a particular topic, then other people are likely to defer to them and are less likely to come forward with their own views. If people start using industry terminology and so on, then I think it can be quite difficult for other people to join in. And so what we try to end up with in a group discussion is a group that are quite like one another in behavioural spectrum, so that they come together quite quickly as a group and form nicely and are able to chat. They're not shy or feeling awkward around one another. The moderator's craft in group discussion is absolutely fascinating. I've observed hundreds of them over the years, and to see how they work that room and bring people together and get everybody contributing. Nobody's allowed to sit in the corner and not join in. You know, they're all getting the same money, so they're wallflowers. Excuse me, what do you think? And that's interesting. You shut up for a moment and you step up. So they do want a group of people that everybody can come together and join in. So I'm just looking at these questions.
Oh, sorry, Anna. No, if you want to ask a formal question, which you did, then if you put /Q.
Then it shows up with a little blue Q.
So all I did was to put /Q, copy your question across, and it comes up on the screen so everybody can see it. We're learning all the time that the Blab platform is no / and then a Q for question. That's it. You've got it, and then you just /Q and the text itself. Right. Well. Excellent. Okay. We're all learning on this platform. It's only been going about 4 months, but I think that the thing is it does allow people to get together and to talk, and for an interview like this to take place. I mean, we're connected, even though we're nowhere near next door to each other. We're miles away, and it's working very well and holding up. And it is good to see everybody who's watching. The thing is that we don't know who is watching. We've got people who are signed in with Twitter and people who are not signed in. So it's fascinating because it's like being on television, because if you're on television, you don't know who's watching.
So that's the 7 current eyeballs, and we don't know who they are.
Exactly. And then obviously after this session, we'll get a YouTube, an MP4, which I'll send you a link to. You can upload that to YouTube, and you can edit it as you wish to make it more compact. We've generally found that anything over sort of 40 minutes doesn't get as many views. So when John and I are on Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock blabbing for Britain, and you've got sort of 2 hours of chat about a variety of topics, so that can be condensed down. Right, okay. Any more questions? Because we now get into the stage where I think we've done very well. I think have you anything you feel we've not covered, because you're the expert on this, and I'm
no, I'm really welcome
trying to keep up
to explore this platform, to connect with some new people. It's been really interesting. I'm already thinking about ways we might be able to use Blab. And do we need some kind of regular broadcast from us about forthcoming projects or something? Would that be something I should look at? So lots of wheels going round.
Yeah, I mean that's the sort of thing it does, and certainly conversations like this where you're sharing your expertise, hopefully helps build the platform, because the platform will succeed based on the quality of the blabs that are taking place. And this has been a very special blab because I've been fascinated by the insights that you've given into the market research industry. Anybody who is watching, you can click the link bottom right hand corner and find out a little bit more. The website is very informative and takes you through step by step. And if you look at the questions and answers, anything that I've not asked today will be answered on that page, which is very comprehensive and is good.
Or if it's not, just email us, pop a question on our Facebook page, whatever. We know it is a complex and unusual subject. We're very keen to be totally transparent about what to expect, what goes on, and we'll answer anything that we can. Taxes on research. That's interesting. Okay, we're going to get into taxes. The first thing I have to say is that obviously I'm not qualified to give tax advice of any kind, and everybody's situation is unique. That said, the rewards, the incentive payments that you get for taking part in research are extremely occasional, and they're treated, as far as I know, in my non-professional tax advising role, as expenses in relation to your participation. If you want to put it on your tax return, that's up to you. For the most part, I think that probably does not happen, and it is just very small and occasional sums that people earn in cash on the night. So really, I wouldn't expect it to have any significant impact on anybody's tax situation.
And as you said earlier, the people who do this because they enjoy doing it, and the compensation is secondary, isn't it?
Well, that's an interesting.
It's there, but it's important. But it's
certainly the
it's not the motivation.
Afterwards is that people enjoyed it a lot more than they expected. It's funny, we get researchers saying, "Don't recruit me people who are just in it for the money." But actually, the money's really important, because you're asking people who are completely new to the idea to give up an evening of their lives to come along. They might have to do a little bit of prep work or something. So the money really matters. What we really hope is that once they've finished taking part, they say, "Well, that was great. I would have done it anyway."
Yeah,
they wouldn't have done it in the first place without the money. That intangible stuff, the rewards you get afterwards, we can't really encourage anybody to come along just on that basis. So the money really does matter, as we keep stressing to some of our research clients who are more budget conscious than others.
Right.
You have to offer a fair incentive to get people along, but hopefully that's not the only thing they're going to take out of it afterwards.
Indeed, and as you said, that the people who do take part in thoroughly enjoy it and have an experience, an adventure. People have an adventure.
Yeah,
it's something that they're
about the next day in the office. When we email them and say, "Sorry, you can't take part again for months now, but please tell your friends." And obviously, we shamelessly tap people up for referrals at all times, because word of mouth is the best possible advertising.
That's true. That's very true. We're finding that with promoting a range of things that we're doing.
Yes.
That recommendation is personal recommendation. Now, one that as new people come in is that you have a record headsets.
Yes.
Virtual reality
That's
headsets.
a big project coming up in February in London. We're looking for people. You don't have to be a hardcore gamer for this one. We're just looking for a whole range of people who are either very keen on gaming and gaming equipment, or have very little experience of handling that kind of equipment and following the instructions. So we're going to need a lot of people for that. So if you're anywhere near London, please make sure you register with us now to be in the runway to get that invitation, which will be going out probably next week or towards the end of this week, to come along and take part in that project. So that'll be a really fun one. And that's a real chance to see a bit of equipment that's not yet on the open market.
Right, so it's cutting edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I haven't finished it yet. I mean, it's nearly there. Testing the
Yep. Okay. Yep. But market research is very important to getting the final phase spot on, so that when it goes out to be sold, they know what customer reaction is going to be. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Part of it is actually gauging what reaction will be when a product is launched.
Definitely. And, research itself is expensive, and that's why they commission us, to make sure they get exactly the right people. But there's nothing compared to the cost of launching the wrong product, launching a product that doesn't meet user needs, that's going to fail or be rejected by the people it's aimed at. So, research is vital. it's fun to be part of. And it often does mean seeing something before other people see it as well, especially in technology.
Yeah. And anybody who's over 16 can go along to your website and apply.
Yeah. Sign up. If you are under 16, get your parents to register and tell us about you, where we ask for children's dates of birth. We do have projects for teenagers and for younger children.
Right, okay.
That's always recruited through the parents and guardians whose consent and involvement is absolutely essential at all times. Yes. So it doesn't mean we can't recruit children, but we don't do it directly.
I can understand that. Yes, so it's been absolutely fascinating. Would you like to have a word before we switch off the recording and just relax for a moment?
Oh, sorry, one more question coming in.
Oh, right, okay.
The findings that you actually get, pass. I can't answer that question, I'm afraid, particularly as we're often one step away from the actual client as well. We're working on behalf of an agency who makes their best recommendations to their client. What they do with those recommendations, goodness knows. Sometimes, you look at a product and think, yes, I know we were involved in helping make that product become finalised and come to market. Yeah. Other times you look at it and think, what on earth did they do that for? That's not what the research told them. You take your incentive money and that's it. So.
Yeah. But most of the time they get it right because they've done the market research first.
We hope so. It's part of obviously a lengthy development process on their part. At what stage they might do several phases of research, something very formative at the beginning and then a final feature check at the end. And roadblocks can come up at any time. We have had people go right back to the drawing board on a product or an ad because the researchers trashed it.
Yeah.
That's great if somebody says, "Whoa, okay, it's a nightmare for us in terms of rescheduling the fieldwork," but it does mean that they're really listening and responding. So.
Yes, that's right. We're talking about projects which we run into the millions, aren't we? You get it wrong, and it's a lot of money to have misspent. If you want to get in on this fascinating market research, then just click the link that's on your right-hand side, and Maya will, and Richard, and team, we'll get in touch. And I can assure you we'll look after you, and you'll have adventures that you never dreamed of, all in the name of market research and helping UK businesses. And I can't think of anything better than that. Anna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your questions. We'd like to thank everybody who's watching. Yes, okay, and we look forward to seeing you all again. This has been so fascinating that I think hopefully down the road, I'm going to put you on the spot now, that we come back here and talk about market research again, but this time from the point of view of small companies.
Love to,
potentially using this, because I think it is relevant for anybody who's launching a new service, a new product, to get involved in market research. And if you could spare the time to come along and explain how it works for them and the steps that they should take. Maya, thank you. Thank you for letting us into your world. Look forward to talking again soon. And thank you to everybody who's watching and everybody who's listening. And Anna, especially for asking the questions. I'm going to switch off the recording now.